Oh, Lily. We actually got some Lily action yesterday in North America.
Yeah.
Gotta love some Lily.
All these annoying pandas right now.
All right, guys, we're getting ready for game number 2 here. We currently have the Team Expert currently up 1-0 over the Playing Ducks. Now, the Playing Ducks played pretty well last game. They even had Sport Billy on the Medivh, but Expert just looking pretty solid, man. They continue to be one of the best here in the league.
Yeah, they definitely are. They are the only team that took down one of the big 3 so far. So they are aiming for that. Well, they're very solid on the number 4 spot, but they're aiming to just push in and make the big 3 a big 4. So far, I would say they haven't been successful in that task yet, but they are definitely starting to get there, and they're very dominant so far in the series against the Ducks. But now we have a completely different battleground coming up, so that might change things up a bit.
Yep, Expert pushing for greatness, hoping to get up there, but let's see if they can win against the Ducks here, as we will be going to Tomb of the Spider Queen. The Ducks electing to take first pick once again.
Yeah, first pick for the Ducks is coming in now, and it's the battleground choice of their opponent. And again, we always have to talk about the odd picks when we are going into an Expert game. So what have we seen in the past? We could see again a Cho'Gall. Synergy played it the last time, even though they knew they were more showing something for the fans here. But we have seen Expert with Probius on this map. They love to throw the oddball combo out every now and then. But overall, they seem to become a bit more meta in how they draft, and it suits them. It suits them really well.
It sort of is odd just on how Expert is feeling for the weekend. Do we want to play meta? Do we want to change things up a little bit? Do we want to be full ball crazy? Because they go full oddball when they do want to go oddball. I think
Gazlo?
Yeah, that one series, that was against Fnatic, right?
Yeah.
Where they just went completely off the wall. And I mean, it's fair. It's Expert. They can pull it off. But then there are moments where they want to just go full meta. And they did it against Fnatic in a match outside of the HGC, and they won 3-0.
Yeah.
Like, they are very capable of running what people would call standard.
So again, to just put this in a bit of perspective, the games here are really a sneak preview to the playoffs that we have coming on next week. So both of the teams, of course, are trying to win here and also to experiment a little bit for the series that they have there, but they're not going to show us any kind of secret strategies just yet. Then in the end, you never know what that means with Expert, as we said. So, as you said, it depends a bit on how AD feels, apparently.
Yeah, there's like the element of hiding strats, because you don't want to show them for next week, so you hold on to the crazy ones. But there's also the mind game element of just playing some weird stuff to throw your opponents off guard so they prepare for it, and then you don't even play it next week.
Yeah.
And when you're a team like Expert, who has literally a million different strategies, not literally, okay, I know what literally means, but a lot of strategies available, you can pull that out. Especially here. So let's go ahead and get ready here. Playing Ducks will ban out the Ariel. She is no longer available.
Literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
She is literally no longer available.
So with Oriel gone, that is a bit of a soft ban towards the double support compositions that can be played. Yes, of course you can still play double support, but Oriel is oftentimes a cornerstone of a double support composition. Since she has that burst heal, she very much relies on some damage dealer giving her hope, giving her the energy to use those heals. And if you have a double support, you mitigate that weakness a little bit, and you enable the damage dealer even more. So there's still combos that can be used, but that's already a first step that the Ducks take to shut it down, especially since with Oriel double support, you allow for Resurrect to be a thing.
Uther being banned out here, and I actually think it's more of a viable ban than you would think, mostly because of how close the lanes are. Uther provides just enough healing to get you away from the fight if you're about to be killed off. Wave of Light is great when you're trying to retreat too. And secondly, it looks like Expert is just a fan of not playing against him. They banned him out on the second phase last game, and now they'll ban him out once again.
Yep, the last time it also limited the pool of supports even more. Now we have both of the teams still with a variety of supports they can take. But of course, two of the more popular ones are out. We still have Lucio. We still, on top of that, have Malfurion available. And if there's going to be a ban on one of those, you have still follow-up options. As for example, Karazim, we've seen Rhaegar already, had a couple of Lily plays, and depending on how much dive your opponent uses, you can even see a Morales, which we have seen sometimes on North America, for example, in their matches. But as we're talking supports, Malfurion picked first.
Malfurion has been taken away, so the normal top tier support being available is Lucio, but with being an Expert, you're not sure if they're going to take it away right away. There's also Gul'dan still floating around with it being Tomb of the Spider Queen can always be great, but I wouldn't mind seeing Ragnaros once again here from Expert. Played pretty solid in terms of just sitting in his lane, soaking. He didn't really hit the most impressive Sulfura smashes, but that could be a possibility for him later on. Now Team Expert will move straight into the Anubarak and also grab Greymane.
Now, with how much the Ducks struggled with the Nubarak in the past, you have to ask yourself, did Expert just do them a favor?
Yeah, maybe. I don't want to be like mean to Cresplosion at all. Like, I just feel like as a Nubarak, he just gets left out a lot as the team. So maybe he's just not quite the hero for the team.
Yeah, it feels he always has to play it as the main tank.
Yeah.
And it seems that for them, it could be the off tank, but not really the main tank role. That seems to really be a reoccurring theme, that if a Nubarak has to take that position, that they are struggling to keep him alive and have a rough time. I could definitely see it as the off tank on their end, that they play a double tank composition with Cresplosion on the main tank and then having someone trying to dive the back line. But of course, jokes aside, at this point, a Nubarak in the early stages always a very, very good pick, just because you're so flexible towards the later positions in the draft.
And here we have the Ducks going into their old bread and butter. Johanna for Cresplosion. He plays an incredible Johanna. He's aggressive on the map rotations. He gets in the lines there. Also can back out himself with the Iron Skin to allow Malfurion to keep the heals on someone else. And then we have Chromester for Chris, who likes to take the title as the original Chromie in HGC Europe, even though Schwimpy showed him first.
Yeah, we have a bit of a battle between the two of them. I'm not even sure who the most successful Chromie between the two of them is.
It's Schwimpy.
It's Schwimpy?
It's Schwimpy,
okay.
yeah.
That is a good chance now, though, for Chris to definitely close that gap a bit and start to retake his spot. So we're going to find out how he can perform on Chromie. But before we're heading into the next picks, let's talk about the bans. Sonya banned, so that takes away from the bot lane options that the Ducks are going to have later. And the Ducks apparently are very reluctant to head into a late game against Nazeebo. They saw in the series that Dignitas played earlier how strong that can be. We all know what a brutal tool Violent Infection is in the late game. So Nazeebo is banned out, so we have no option for him to change anything. But Expert, they're going to go into their next double pick, and now we're going to find out very likely what their bot laner is going to be.
We will find out, man. Still assuming it might be the Ragnarok. I'm trying to think of what else Blade likes to play. He plays Leoric occasionally. We've seen him on Zul, too. We haven't seen a Zul in a long time, and if you're going to pull off Zul, this is the battleground you might want to use it on, especially if you want to hit that Bone Prison on someone like Malfurion or Chromie. Nazeebo also just a good ban in general if you are going to be facing off, if you are going to want to play Chromie. One Spider hitting at Vital Infection takes her down to this much health, and if one auto attack or one cocktail comes through, she's just dead. She has to use one of her level talents, either bye-bye, timeout, just to survive.
I heard you're a fan of bye-bye.
I'm a little fan, slightly. I have moments. So is Fan, by the way. I finally got that jersey. It looks good. It's a good jersey, man. I like that jersey.
He lost the bet the last time when he was challenging the HGC players to play bye-bye, and it happened immediately after he said it, so it was a fun one. But we have Morales. I talked about Morales a bit earlier, and especially when the opponent doesn't have dive, then Morales is a good option.
Yeah.
And that's what they use now. So we have a Morales on the one hand and the Kel'Thas then on the other. So with the two of them combined, there's a lot of heals available, poke from that back line that you have. You have disables to keep Morales safe a bit. Kel'Thas is going to try and bring the pain. And the question, of course, remains, are the Ducks now trying to counteract Morales with additional dive?
Typically when the Ducks do run this composition, they try to run for aggressive wave clear. They want to push in their lanes as much as possible and let Chromie do all the damage and poke in. Morales is a pretty good answer for this. First off, she has Safeguard. If she sees poke coming your way, ooh, it's going to be a Genji. Now, this is different here. This actually allows for Chromie to break someone down and Genji to go in for the kill.
That's another thing on my mind right now.
What is that?
We always talk about how scary Sport Billy on Zeratul is. This looks very much as if we could see Sport Billy on Genji, and that is a frightening thought.
New hero?
New tool to play around with? I mean, we don't know 100%, we have to wait for the game to start, but it's the logical consequence of him playing Zeratul for his team, and him usually being one of those very playmaking heroes for the Ducks.
Yeah.
So right now, I could see the Genji play, and we've seen cool Genji play yesterday already.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Genji already in the HGC this weekend.
Varian now?
In North America. For the final pick?
Varian against Genji, what do you think?
No. I'm down with it. You get the lockdown. The only fear I have is how do you get your engages? You have a Nubarak, so yeah, you could go for it. Varian would be a solid pickup for the final here. It's going to be Stitches, though, instead.
Okay, so Stitches putting the fear into Chromie. Yeah, we have also lockdown attempt with Kel'Thas, and Nubarak can provide stuns. So there's definitely tools that they have to make this a thing. I could have seen the variant. They historically like to play variant, but in this case, they just want to sit tight a little bit farther towards the back, get the hook in, and they have a few targets. If they can hit Malfurion, Chromie would be a great target. I guess Leoric has a chance to escape unless you can put the damage in fast enough. Johanna should usually be able to walk away. Genji, probably not really the target that you're going to kill with a good hook, but especially the pressure against Chromie is going to be good.
Question, I know a lot of Genji's deflect. Any type of CC does stop it from actually deflecting and bringing out the damage. Does Stitch's hook, if you deflect before the hook comes in, does it actually stop the animation of the deflect? So you can actually punish with an Anubarak or a stun right after from Gravity Lapse and just kill him. I think it does, because Temporal Loop does. Yeah, and it counts as a mini stun. So I think it actually cancels out Genji. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. But this is actually a pretty solid way of stopping Genji from ever using his W effectively.
But he should just still able to move away quickly.
Yeah, he'll be able to move away for sure. But
I was more talking towards the mobility, not necessarily talking about the deflect itself. So the mobility of the hero should make it very difficult to actually hit him. Since most Genjis that we've seen play have really waited an eternity to go in with a Swift Strike. So if that setup is still true, and if he plays just more around his straight, trying to use that as a mobility tool in the early game before an engage or before a confirmed kill, then he should be able, when he sees the hook coming, to just move out. Hitting a Genji with a hook seems impossible.
Nah, it seems easy. What are you talking about? Just aim for a minion. You'll hit him instead. You're good to go.
I think we need to play a couple of games. You show me how it's
Let's
done.
do some 1v1s. All right, guys. It's time to start it up. Game number 2. Tomb of the Spider Queen, Chromie versus Stitches. Let's see how it pans out.
We have game number 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Currently expert in the lead. The blue team starting to the left with, once again, Nick. This time on the Chromie, on the Greymane. Bad Benny on the Anubarak. They have to face the Chromie. And they're using Blade on Stitches to get some hooks in. Curson on the Morales and AD-RD on Kalthas.
The Playing Ducks to the far right. Wolf Joe will be on the Malfurion. We're going to be seeing Chris Blosian on Johanna. Chris is going to be on the Chromie. Sport Billy will be on Genji. And Nande will be on the Leoric.
It's going to be a fun game. I want to see what Genji can pull off here. We talked about the hero a lot yesterday. Today we have a very skilled melee assassin and a very talented player on him, Sport Billy, the playmaker for the team. And as we've been talking about Genji, let's talk about his talents once again. Swift as a Wind is a very popular talent on level 1, but we have seen a fair share of Agile Dismount as the starting talent. This is exactly what Sport Billy does now as well. So you have a really cool engagement tool when you are mounted and you're trying to just jump into a fight.
Yeah, the bottom lane actually has the hardest time with this. I tried playing this yesterday with Genji. You're able to just gank the bottom lane so easily. When you're mounted up, you charge in, you jump across the screen, and next thing you know, that bottom lane is just picked off if your Soul Leader is able to get the engage as well.
And of course, on level 4, we are looking towards the possible Shuriken Mastery. It's a standard talent so far to be taken by Genji. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, so we're going to talk about that later. Leoric held his first talent back a bit, but went still into hopelessness. So the Drain Hope range increased now. And Johanna with a stacking talent, relying heavily on those globes on the map.
Nande keeping up in the bottom lane. Expert coming in for a bit of a rotation, trying to put pressure on that Leoric. Typically, if you can put a little pressure on Leoric and get him down to a quarter half health, and then you can dodge one Drain Hope, your bottom lane can do pretty well there. So you'll see that happen occasionally with pro play. They'll rotate down and try to put Leoric in a spot where he's pigeonholed.
Especially with Morales, we have one of those things where Genji is, of course, attempting to hit the backline. He has two main targets, and that's Kalthas and Morales. If the opportunity occurs, of course, he is going to turn towards Greymane or any of the tanks, but he will attempt to pressure the backline. And this is one of the biggest tools he has. You don't always have to get the kill. Creating space and disrupting the backline is oftentimes already a win for you and your team in the team fight.
Bad Mending getting rude, though, low on health.
Yeah,
Chris fires in. Nick will tank it, though.
Chris just rushing around here on his Chromie and definitely having a good time thus far. But of course, he will be in a bit more trouble later on after 16. And we also have the increased range on Stitches. And let's not forget about the possible engage with Anubarak after level 7. When he gets his shield on the burrow charge, that's going to become a big thing. But Benny interrupted by Nande as he's attempting to turn in. And Chris just happily shooting from the backline, doing all the damage here.
Gonna keep doing that, rotating in, using those Brawn talents for damage. Big play here as we go in for Blade. Q comes out, Root also hits. Blade trying to live, doesn't get sniped. Chris gets it, lands the Sandblast, and that is going to be a dead Stitches.
Yeah, really well done. So Stitches is down. That's the first kill for the game. We're also now looking at a level 4 talent for Johanna with more self-sustain. Pretty standard going into the Laws of Hope. The Shuriken Mastery as expected. So far looking decent for the Ducks here, gaining some control in the early stages of the game. But one of the things that we definitely have to talk about when we're looking at the talents here is the level 7 on Chromie. So we have the Chrono Sickness. Trick.
My favorite talent, dude. It's so good. It's a miniature temporal loop. I think I mentioned it last time we were casting. Yep. You get to slow for 4 seconds. You slow their movement speed. Caldor, look at me. You slow their movement speed for 50% for 4 seconds. That's bonkers.
It's insane.
It's insane, bro.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible. And
Chromie is the best hero in the game.
Thank you, Caldor. So honestly, though, Chris has started running it more. He ran it the last time of this Battleground. It's good against melees that don't really have crazy escapes. If you can catch Greymane before he goes into Dark Flight, he's pretty much a dead character. You're able to bring up the W into the Q, you burn out the damage, bring out the Bronze Talons, and you destroy. And Doral Anomaly mixed with it. Okay, we're done.
I love how you are excited you get when you talk about that. When I saw the talent pop up, I knew that you're going to have a good time with it.
I mean, you know how we mentioned Schwimpy versus Chris, and I mentioned that Schwimpy has a better win rate?
Yeah.
Chris is still the better Chromie because he knows which talents to pick.
Oh,
thank you, Chris.
All right, all right. Also, Wolfjaw in trouble, and he is falling. This is the first kill for Team Expert. The two teams have been dancing around each other a bit as Trick explained the talent choice here and the value that Chromie gets out of it. But at the same time now, a kill taken by Expert. So yes, Malfurion a bit far out here, and he got punished for it. So Expert maybe sacrifice or having a bit of trouble in the early game, keeping their Stitches alive, but now they have more dive available. And also keep in mind how I was talking early on about the level 7 talent for Nubarak, when he has the shield after the burrow charge. He's complementing this even with the Under King again, and Expert loves to do that. Under King and the shield, so a huge position for them to engage into the back line where they want to hit Chromie ideally. So a very cool thing to see that again, having a more aggressive play.
Speaking of level 7s, hang on here as Nick's getting low on health, trying to retreat. He is going to be able to kite back. Looking at Genji, he's picked up dodge. He even flies in here. Look at for support ability to put damage there. The dodge is going to be helpful for trading against Nick in particular, but remember, that charge only procs every 5 seconds, so he gets one big moment to die out on some of that damage. Stores up to 3 charges, but really aiming for trying to get rid of that Greymane when the opportunity presents itself.
Level 7 for Genji is such a great talent here just because you have so many options, and we've seen by now every single one used. Every single talent on level 7 was taken in one of the games where we have seen Genji. Now the dodge as you're up against the Greymane, so trying to mitigate that damage a bit, especially of course in the Worgen form. But we have in the meantime also Conviction picked up by Johanna, trying to get this as an engage tool. With the frontliners, we have Burn Flesh for Kel'Thas. And I would say a pretty even game thus far, but the Web Weaver wave goes to Playing Ducks. They have the first one.
Yep, you get the first turn in, that Johanna clearing out those waves. The setup between Malfurion and Chromie has allowed for them to get the first turn in. There's a slight experience lead for Team Expert, but there is a chance for the Ducks to nullify that lead by getting some great pushes here. They're moving in on the turrets, trying to break them down, and we're going to see if they are going to be successful in doing so.
Turrets are about to be broken down, and level 10 would be a big asset for the Ducks if they can get that a bit faster. Maybe a potential second turn in. Nick at the top lane against Nanda, but the Drain Hope has hit, and that kept Nanda alive enough. Also, Nick didn't really want to go in here just because he had so many gems, 26, that it would be too easy for Chromie to snipe him and deny those to them.
So, 9.5, 9.5. Expert working on getting towards that 10. The Playing Ducks, if they get a kill now, can drop off their gems and also go for a second turn-in. But the Expert team, look at them on the minimap. They are playing so passively here, waiting for 10 to happen. They even grab Mercenaries on the other side of the map to get the middle pushing in, and then they can make their plays to get aggressive on their turn-ins. Explosion
with a good turn-in. They lack another 11 and then have their own Web Weaver wave. Here's the 10s for both of the teams. X-Strike for Genji with the Entomb and the Blessed Shield as potential setups for him. And Expert is waiting a bit longer with their own. The Red Web Weavers are descending again. Since Expert fails to deny the turn-in, the Ducks have 2 in a row.
2 in a row, 2 big pushes here, and this is where they can start moving in on forwards with level 10 here. X-Strike being picked up will allow for combos to happen here. We're going to have Entomb being available, Blessed Shield, lots of lockdown for the Ducks, as well as Twilight Dream. Bad Benny hits Impale, though, on Johanna as he steps forward. Sport Billy goes in and puts damage on Morales. Here comes the Entomb, here comes the X-Strike. Curson getting focused, and he cannot survive.
Tries to get the medevac to escape here, but a great setup. All 3 ults immediately being used. Down goes the Entomb, then the stun, and the X-Strike on top of it. Great kill here, and taking down Morales is already a huge win as those Web Weavers are descending, moving in to take down forts. At this point, they have to wait for Morales to be back. AD already losing half his HP in the backline thanks to Chris just firing away, predicting Nick's movement and getting another big shot in. Good job from Chris, and they are looking strong here.
Looking strong. We're going to have members rotating in. I like how Johanna and Sport Billy are watching this choke, but Bad Benny's not a fan of it. He goes in for an engage. Sport Billy gets it here with the Cursed Bullet. We'll get knocked down to half health, but Wolf Joe will top him off.
Now the Web Weavers are still alive, but slowly taking down. And the one in the mid and the top lane have been eliminated. At the bot lane, Stitches just now done taking the Web Weavers down. Overall, the Ducks are slightly ahead in experience, and they haven't taken a fort yet. So they got 2 Web Weaver waves. We were able to get a couple of towers taken out and basically destroyed every single front wall. But the big deal is that in experience, they're only half a level ahead. And we still have 84 gems on the side of Team Expert. They have a double turn-in thanks to the 39 they already secured. So if they can get close enough, they might get that value. Nande with the Entomb doesn't do a whole lot, but it traps the bug, and once again a kill. And Nubarak is down, and those gems are lost.
Incredible Entomb there, locking Bad Benny in. He was a little bit too big, couldn't slip on through. Team Expert's trying to answer back here. They did get a turn-in, which is going to be helpful for their next push, but they have to wait for 10 seconds before they're able to have their Anubarak back in the fight.
Also, they need to be careful since we have level 13 hitting for the Ducks. That's an extra talent they already hold.
Draw anomaly. Just kidding. Just Chrono Cygnus hitting here, and Blade gets focused down by the entire team. That 4 seconds, that 50% slow, it's too good. Curson trying to help out. He's going to jump into medevac. Can he get away? Everyone's trying to focus it down. He's deucing. He's out.
Curson gets away, but that was a very close call. It looked like if he would die as well. That's not the case. But with Stitches down, it makes it very tricky for Expert to really push in. They are still on the same level. They have 13 now. They have the talent. But when it comes to structures, they are definitely a bit behind since they haven't taken any towers yet. Up to the top lane, they get value. Looks like Nanda's gonna fall. Yes, indeed he is. They can take him down. Curson is very low on his mana, on Medic, but Sport Billy on Genji also dying. So Expert picking up the pace.
Nick is so strong and brave. That Entomb came out, he turned around and just straight up auto-attacked Leoric. He had no fear whatsoever. He had Morales back there to keep him alive, and he had 50 gems that he possibly could have lost. Great composure there by Nick on Greymane.
No guts, no glory. Also, Backdraft by now has been picked up on the side of ADRD. That is actually a pretty interesting tool against Genji. A high mobility character that is so agile on the map. If he's slowed down, this can really help you to get that kill. So ADRD definitely trying to have some tools available against those melee heroes on the side of the Ducks.
Also really good against the Orc. Makes it harder for him to hit those Entombs. And Hook comes out. Nande says, wait a minute, I'm not alive anymore. He goes into ghost form, sitting here on the defense and be floating around the back left. Nick would love to drop these gems off, and he moves in. Nande scouts it. Sport Billy hoping to harass.
Nick has 53 still. He's still holding those 53. Sport Billy jumps in, and Nick is immediately on him, is saying, wait, you interrupt me, you're going to pay for that. So he's trying to take Sport Billy down, does not get a kill here. Keep in mind that Nanda is going to be back in a second, and ADRD just throwing out the damage the entire time, but he is out. Oh my god, that was good.
That cleanse was incredible from Curson. It was perfect. X-Strike came out, so did Entomb, but Kel'Thas barely slipped on by. That was 3 heroics used.
Yeah, it's the Blessed Shield. He completely cleansed out the Blessed Shield. It's one of the main reasons why Kel'Thas still lives. He expected it, saw it coming, and then cleanses it out. That was absolutely fantastic from Curson. Such a great play, making sure that ADRD survives, and they are still fighting over that turn-in.
They are still fighting over the turn-in, and typically around this point, if you're running this Johanna comp, this Leoric comp, you're hoping to maybe have a couple forts down, and that's not the case here. Expert has held on so well right now. They're going to start turning out this battleground, and we mentioned the level 16 power spike for Team Expert with KT. Again, that Fury of the Sunwell becomes much more effective in team fights, so we should be seeing that relatively soon.
Exactly. And that is going to be a huge tool for them. But keep in mind that when we're talking about Genji, he has Shingon taken as a level 13 talent. So if he's close to a target when he uses those shurikens, he deals extra bonus damage. And that can be devastating against the Kel'Thas or a Morales. So especially the backline of Team Expert has to be very careful about these Genji engages. But still, Expert with 88 gems. They have the turn-in. They just can get to the spot.
It's all about killing Nick. They kill Nick, the Playing Ducks, they'll be in a great spot in stopping these turn-ins. X-Strike is used to dodge out on abilities coming his way. Sport Billy using a big heroic there. 16
is there. Fury of the Sunwell has been picked. Full damage build on Stitches, by the way. Really going in on that slam, trying to turn in again at the bottom spot now. Leoric is still in the vicinity though, and we have Ducks trying to prevent it. Genji is so low. Phoenix comes out. Nande nearly falling on the Leoric here, but is able to move away. But the blue Web Weavers are finally descending as we have Expert with a successful turn-in at the bot lane.
Nick takes a load off there, getting rid of a massive amount of gems. Now he can be a bit more aggressive in team fights as he would like. Fort's going to be pushed in here for Team Expert. They're looking for that fort on the bottom and maybe a second one here as they can just go ahead and get aggressive while the Ducks are going to set up camp and defend.
Also, one of the things that's absolutely going to be amazing here is the synergy between the Putrid Bile and the level 16 talent on the side of Greymane. The slow and then the extra damage resulting in it on the auto attacks is going to be so good. Nande is down, Leoric got jumped here. 16 versus 16 Web Weavers on the ground. Cocoon is out, Sport Billy saves Chris for now as the Cocoon is taken out and they are moving away from it. But this is a heavy push coming from Team Expert.
Blade just nailing these hooks, and Nick trusting too to follow up with the Cursed Bullet to burn down Nande before he can even retreat. That is going to be 2 forts, a third potentially in the top right. ADRD catches Genji through the fog of war. Sport Billy will be able to get away, but boy, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was him. I mean, at that point, his adrenaline just spiked, and he only got away because of the mobility the hero offers. But that was a very awesome move. Gravity Lapse into the fog, hits the target, Flame Strike comes in, hook hits hard, and then they don't get the lockdown, and he barely gets out of there. It was a close escape by Genji. But just look at the map. Expert, 5 kills against 4 on level 18 versus level 16, and they have taken every single fort while not losing one themselves. They defended against 2 Web Weaver waves already, haven't lost main structures yet, and they are looking better and better as time continues.
That they are. They have opened up the map. They're dropping off some gems here. 50 have been dropped off. A hook comes out. Nande gets focused once again. Leorki in full play here. Sadly, not going to be able to do much more.
Yeah, Leorki having no chance here, just dying all the time, and he is just haunting the map. That's basically the only thing he does so far. It's really rough for him to keep him alive here, and that's particularly true because you have Greymane every time making these snap calls on a quick bullet and dropping him so fast with the help of ADRD's Gravity Lapses.
Spooky goes for a spooky map. Playing Ducks hoping to spook their opponent's zone, maybe get a turn in here. Hook connects on Johanna to deny that from occurring. Nubrak moves in and gets hit by the time trap, will get sieged upon. Nande will be spawning relatively soon here. We are still half a level away from level 18, where Chromie gets a level 20 talent, but then after that, we're still 2 levels away from 24, the Ducks, while Expert is about to hit 19.
Once again, the damage output against Johanna, and that is just so much to deal with right now for the Ducks. They are moving constantly further back, and that allows another Web Weaver wave for the blue team. Here comes the combo against Kel'Thas. X-Strike goes in, and somehow Curson keeps ADRD alive.
Safeguard's kind of good, man. Nick, though, maybe not as lucky. Oh, wait, here's the heal beam. Curson's keeping him alive. Blade in the front. Nande gets focused down. Sport Billy hoping to run. Can he get away? The Impel connects. That's going to be another kill. 19 3/4 and 3 Web Weavers pushing.
It's a quad kill. They get 4 heroes with this. They save Kel'Thas. Malfurion dies at the same time, and they just clean house afterward. Curson is just going into absolute boss mode here. He is keeping everyone alive. The cleanses are on point. His heals are on fire. Safeguards everywhere. And no matter how hard Genji tries to take down the backline, Curson just says, no, you're not. I'm going to keep these boys alive. And then all of a sudden, Greymane just pops off and takes them all apart.
The Love Doctor is here, and she is healing. The Keep in trouble in the mid lane. The bottom Keep has already fallen. The Playing Ducks are 3 levels behind their opponents. Even Blade going for a hook. Burrow Charge occurs. We're going to have the vial being dropped here by our Stitches just to get away for the retreat. And you gotta wonder, does Expert get aggressive and move in for potentially a boss, as that Keep in the top right corner, the third one, is on a small health bar?
Yeah, right now, it's just crazy. I mean, think about it. We have 20 Storm Talons. We are seeing at this point already the Caduceus Reactor taken. The Gillian Roulette has been picked up on the side of Greymane, not actually heading into the Hunter's Blunderbuss, which we oftentimes see. But at this point, you have the cooldown reduction per hit, and you have them hitting multiple targets potentially. It's crazy. He's gonna chunk that out so often in the team fights and netting even more damage. Greymane is just turning it on so hard. Rewind on Anubarak. That talent alone is so strong. They're exploding onto Blade. Seems like he got a bit lost on the map here, didn't he?
Yeah, he was trying to push in that bottom lane for some reason, and he just got killed off there. He was trying to Hearthstone, but he was scouted.
Space created.
He space created, hashtag worth, etc., etc. And Team Expert, we're actually going to start doing a boss, but decide to hold on. They're going to go and bait it. Sport Billy jumps in and gets caught. Genju, oh my golly.
Wow, Genji down, Cocoon has been used, they're jumping onto Chromie. Chromie's being attacked here, Chris is in trouble, and Nubarak is in the back, gets rooted and attacked here hard by those skills, but Curson is once again ready. And they're not done just yet, they're jumping in once again. Once more, the bullet being used. Nick has basically no cooldown on that cursed bullet.
Yep, it's up again, look at this, he's gonna chunk it in here, could hit Nande here. Oh, he misses it, but at least he attempts to go for it. Focusing down Nande, Johanna's gonna try and do some jukes here on the left side and get away from the fight, but the Ducks right now are scrambling for 20 and to live.
Nick was basically tied with the damage output of Genji a bit earlier. He since then has hit 15,000 additional damage in just 2 team fights, thanks to the Cursed Bullet in particular. This level 20 talent is paying off so well for him. He got it off, I think, 3 times in that last fight. It's crazy. The Ducks are still not on 20, and they lose Johanna now too. That's so many gems also down the drain, but they still hold enough to get another turn in. But at this point, Expert is turning towards the boss again. Now that Blade is back with the team after his early death at that bot lane, they can now 5-man the boss, still pressure with hooks, and the Ducks, they just simply cannot contest this.
The Ducks cannot contest it, but they
That's
may
right.
have to. Sport Billy walking in, go straight to Morales, the poke on the left side, trying to get the attention of his opponents. Nande gets burned down, and the boss will be grabbed.
Nande died 6 times this game. Leoric having such a rough time here, and Expert, they are looking so good at this point. They're moving in with the boss at the top lane. The keep that is still on the map, it doesn't even matter. I mean, 1 flame strike and it is down. So that boss is aiming for the core. And guys, we are talking about no keep alive for the Ducks, and they haven't taken a fort in this game.
We're going to see if they can have a miracle defense. Nande will be spawning soon. We will have all 5 members up for the Playing Ducks. Genji jumps in the back right lane. Twilight Dream being popped by Wolf Joe. Nick is the focus. He's taking some damage, but the cores drop down to 50%. It continues to fall. Nande chasing. He will finally get Nick. Nope. Curson's here with another heal. Doesn't matter. Core is dead. Expert wins 2-0.
Well, they haven't won it just yet in the best of 5, but they definitely won the map. That 2-0 was a very impressive one. Not only map number 1, but map number 2. Solid play, really, especially... Curson is so good right now in his support role. We've been talking about it in game number 1, how the European teams don't really have trouble finding good support players. But this game, he saved them so many times. Kel'Thas, we've been talking about that insane save, him cleansing out the Blessed Shield, keeping it alive with everything he had, just barely. And if Kel'Thas dies there, then the Ducks can just completely go off against them and really carry the momentum, net maybe another second and a third kill. Didn't happen here. Curson is on point right now.
He literally denied 3 different types of resets that could have occurred for Genji to allow him to start being effective in fights, especially with a Chromie chasing in. So kudos to Curson.